Welcome to the ChargePoint podcast, brought to you by FlexiCharge, your gateway to the future of EV charging. In each episode, we dive deep into the world of EV infrastructure, offering insights and perspectives from industry leaders, innovators, and the people at the forefront of deploying charging solutions and networks. Join us to explore the exciting developments that are accelerating our world towards sustainable mobility.
Welcome back to the ChargePoint podcast. I'm Christophe and I'm from FlexiCharge. This episode comes to you straight from ICNC 2025 in Berlin, one of the most influential events in our industry and one of my favorites, to be honest. This year's theme, which was shaping customer experiences, bridging the gap to mass EV adoption, hit home in every hallway panel and coffee line conversation. And I sat down with three brilliant minds to unpack what that really means in practice. You'll hear first from Lasse Nettestrøm, COO at Fleetgrid, who's laser-focused on electrifying heavy-duty transport. We talk about operational pain points for logistics player, the rise of charging as a service, and why ICNC offers exactly the right depth for conversations that go beyond passenger cars. Then I spoke with Martin Moos, co-founder and consultant at Elevathors, who brings years of experience across CPO, CPMS, and MSP landscapes. Martin shares why ICNC is the only place where software vendors and operators really meet at eye level, and how is that fueling a shift toward more modular APIs-first architectures. And finally, Maren Renhelt, Managing Director at Evailable, explained how her company is using AI to streamline CPO operations, turning messy telemetry into action, boosting uptime and cutting OPEX. Maren also reflects on giving her keynote this year and how ICNC's energy feels less like a trade fair and more like a focused working session for the people actually building the future. Across all three conversations, a shared thread emerges. As the EV charging ecosystem grows, so does the need to build smarter, more reliable, and more custom-focused infrastructure. And ICNC remains the place where those ideas come to life. Let's get into it. All right, let's get started with the first interview here at the ICNC 25 with Lasse Nettestrøm. Welcome, Lasse.
Thanks a lot. Thanks for having us.
Thank you for taking the time. So, who are you and what's your background, please, for the audience?
I am the COO of Fleetgrid, which is a fairly new company coming out of Denmark. My background is the last 12 years I've been within, in particular, e-mobility and charging, with being on the founding team of supercharging in EMEA at Tesla, and also been building up energy and charging solutions at Einride, and also with some short stints at Siemens and Better Energy.
All right. Yeah, that definitely then puts you in the category of people with some serious experience in the industry. Exciting. So, how has your day been so far at ICNC?
It's been good. A lot of familiar faces and also a lot of new ones, obviously. But been good to see, the industry coming together here in Berlin, and we are excited to be here and talking with potential partners for the future.
Yeah, we'll come back to that. So, what makes ICNC particular special in your eyes versus other events in the industry?
I think it stems from a more, you could say, a thorough understanding of some of the different verticals, not only for certain markets, but European-wide. And we also see now, compared to some of the other years, a more specialized approach, which is at least for industry experts like us, valuable.
Absolutely, yeah. So if we talk a bit about some industry signals and trends, so what are the real topics and trends people are talking about this year at ICNC that you have been caught so far? Can you think anything surprising, anything particularly interesting to you?
Well, I mean, given our approach in the company, I think that the rise of heavy-duty vehicle charging and solutions is quite evident here compared to maybe just 1 or 2 years ago. We see some of the new vehicles being brought to market already here. A company like my old company like Einride is also present, and others, but also solutions stemming and already being on the agenda for especially truck operations, which is of course not only a hot topic, but also something that we see a lot of potential in over time. So again, I don't think necessarily it's a surprise, at least not to us, but it's great to see that it's starting to also make its presence in a broader market sense.
Absolutely, getting momentum,
Yeah.
So let's talk a bit about Fleetgrid. So what are some of tell us a bit about the company, so a bit about the inception, because it's always interesting. You just started. So when did it start? How did it start?
Yeah.
Tell us.
Yeah, so as mentioned, we're a fairly new company, which was co-founded by two co-founders out of Denmark, the one with a finance background, another one also known a name from the mobility business, Rasmus Larsen and Ashwin Gunnes. And they quickly reached out to me and asked if I wanted to be part of building this company, which is basically focusing in particular of infrastructure for heavy-duty vehicles and the electrification of those, but also with a really strong focus on charging as a service. So financing and a full platform solution is kind of what we are offering to the market. So I think the timing, as I think we also see here in the fair and across markets, is about time. The OEMs are ramping up. It's still early stage, but it's also about being in the market and making solutions already to make that off the ground.
Absolutely. So what are some of the biggest operational headaches that you have identified that you are solving for fleet operators and charging carriers?
I think, as a very nascent market, it's something where we really see quite a low knowledge, you could say, of what electrification is, which is, you could say, on one hand, kind of like guides the conversations toward other things that you would see in the passenger vehicle segment, which is more mature by now. So the traditional CPOs will have a different approach, where we are really looking at what are the pain points for logistic and transport operators these days. And that's to understand what do they need now and what do they need over time. And another strong pain point within these segments is also financing. So they are very used to financing of their vehicles. And that's also when we come with an offer or see an opportunity coming with the financed offers, it's something that they understand and also respond very positively to. So, I think within the industry, we have seen charging as a service offers also have been present early on. But I think a good customer fit is actually within these segments. And this is what we are trying to leverage.
And are you collaborating with any financial institutions in particular, or what's the idea?
Well, for now, we have a majority stakeholder in our company, which is OK, which is a big energy company from Denmark. They have seen Fleetgrid as a good opportunity to get quickly into a market where they have a strong customer base from their legacy fueling business, but where they also want to be part of their journey into electrification. So that's where I would say our first financing comes from. But we are also looking at different models of ramping up our finance also in other markets as we expand beyond Denmark.
Yeah, and what are the geographical ambitions? Are they first to win some battles in Denmark before expanding, or are you open to any market, or how do you?
Obviously, Denmark being our home ground, we are ramping up quite quickly there. We also understand the need for us to have some proven cases. One thing is to tell that you have a platform, another one to see it operational. So we are focusing on the short term on Denmark to get the company and the solutions off the ground. But we are having a broader perspective to mainly Northern Europe over time.
Yeah. Is it because of all the more advanced, I would say, markets, ancillary markets, ancillary services, flexibility markets that you see as an important part of the offering moving forward?
Indeed. I mean, I think it's, one thing is, you could say the conversations, the regulatory requirements that we see from different markets that we are obviously getting very aligned with. But another thing is also that when we are getting these customer bases with long contracts, we are also seeing that there will be a transition for, you could say, charging as a service to energy as a service. And that's where some of these particular system market possibilities also come into play.
Mm-hmm. So you want to build a quite complete 360 offering, right? So do you have at this moment all the components you need, at least for the short to midterm, to build this full service offering, or are you still looking for partners within different areas?
I mean, we're pretty open. I mean, I think what is very important, like even if we are having some great partners already, we're also quite agnostic, and we also understand that some partnership or some constellation in one market may not be fully transferable into another market. So we are, I would say, pretty clear on what kind of quality and what kind of partnerships that we're looking for. That doesn't mean that we're not open. And we also understand that this is a market that is moving fairly quickly. And again, back to our customer offer, we are in for a long run. So that also means that we need to have partners that we can scale with substantially.
Mm-hmm. So if we look at Q4 starting in 30 days, what does any project that you're particularly excited, looking forward to, that you want to mention, that you can mention?
Yeah, I mean, we have a big milestone, and that is that we're breaking ground on some of our first projects in Q4, and that's obviously with any company exciting, but also it brings it from you could say the commercial, the product conversation into the EPC and construction part of things, where it's the real world. Will we be done by New Year? Maybe not. We'll see. It's a little bit about timing. We all know the inherent risk of grid connections, but that's kind of like the big goal. But we have a steadily growing pipeline, and I think Q4 will be a good kicker for 26 and beyond.
Exciting. We'll follow that closely for sure. So if we look a bit beyond, so what do you think, or any thoughts on how the charging landscape will look like in, like, I don't know, 18 months from now, 1.5 years, especially for fleet-oriented CPOs and for service providers like you?
I think it will be some eventful 18 months from today and onwards. I think there will be some pain points that are new, that arise, that even if many great players have tried to cover some of these new challenges. Also from my time at Einride, every time you thought that you have solved one problem, another problem will rise around the corner. So we will see that, but it will be, I think the transition within heavy duty vehicles, and we all already see it, it's kind of like double the speed of passenger vehicles. So I think we'll, when we meet up in 18 months and talk again, we will see a market that have probably super speed through a lot of the child sicknesses that inherently will come along. Mm-hmm. But I trust and believe that also with the rise of more hardware players, more fully integrated software players that have more features than we have ever seen before, it will also be a larger success. Quicker than what we have seen in early on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I see that absolutely. I would tend to agree with you. Yeah, that one could expect. And if you were to, as a last note, if you were to give, what's the one main advice you would give to a logistic company that is looking to electrify their operations? what's the main advice if you had to give one to start with, or maybe as the first one?
Yeah, I think the first one would be, and that's inherently a little bit water on our mill, so to speak, is that to look out for solution partners that understand the market. I mean, that's the easy part, but I think there's a reason to it, and that's also why we and obviously also competitors and partners in the market are positioning themselves, is that there are quite a lot of pitfalls, especially for smaller to mid-size operators, where this kind of capex investment can be a huge risk, and there's also unknown land. Some of it is even unknown land to us that have been in the industry for a long time. Yeah. So you can only imagine how it is for people who have been running a legacy business for many years. So I think that would be my strongest advice, and not necessarily only go with one, but also try to learn and try to understand that and then minimize the risk that way. And then over time, I mean, we know a lot of different players trying to do proprietary solutions. I would trust software providers that know what they're doing, and that's what they have been doing for a long time. The same with OEMs. I mean, that's also what we are doing. We're not trying to you could say reinvent the wheel as such, but we're trying to put the right pieces together and making compelling, because we know that there are many good players in the market, and that's what we will look out for as we go forward.
Yeah, makes sense. Yeah, I was thinking also maybe the very classic, secure your grid connection. That's also an advice.
I think that's. I mean, but what I also think. I mean, if we can expand a little bit on that, is that the grid connection is the classic pounding item in the industry. But what I also think is that these grid connections will also, and we will see that over time, will start to show different possibilities. I mean, you guys are looking into that as well, but we also see in some markets across Europe where actually you can start out with the grid connection, and then you can start to tailor different solutions around that. So it's also a little bit. I mean, we know all about the possibilities of BESS. We know all about the possibilities of the different system market requirements that you can come into. But at the end of the day, if you start with focusing, at least in the heavy-duty vehicle segment, focus on that, then a lot of other opportunities will arise from getting a foothold. And that's something that, I think for all of us, it's a little bit difficult to predict at this point in time, because it can also change. But you could say a good grid connection is never a bad start.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but you shouldn't give up if you're late with that, or if you don't have what you want. Yeah, right. I agree with you exactly. Yeah. All right. Lasse, on that note, thank you very much for taking the time to join me on the podcast, and looking very much forward to keeping in touch and following your guys' journey. Thanks.
Thanks a lot, Christophe.
All right, moving on to the second conversation here in this episode at the ICNC 2025 with Martin Moos. How should I say your name in English?
Martin Moos. I would say, yes.
Martin, so who are you and what's your background, please?
Yes, my name is Martin Moos, as you mentioned. I've been working within e-mobility for the last 13 years. Having seen the industry from various different views. So, been selling the electric vehicles, been working for the larger CPOs, and as of the last 5 years, working with mainly the software part. So, I've had a background in Spiry and in Monte, seen it from the CPMS, EMSP side, and the last year I've been working as a consultant, mainly advising on go-to-market strategy, business development, and strategic partnerships.
Yeah, and it's true that you have a background in Spiry and Monte. Pretty impressive. Yeah. That's super interesting with you within the Danish ecosystem. Yeah, so how has your day been so far at the ICNC?
We actually arrived already yesterday, having spent some time here also on the tech day yesterday. It's been awesome walking around, obviously meeting people you have known for 5, 6, 7 years and seeing them again here. Some people you have met over the last 4 or 5 years again and again here on ICNC. So it's really nice to have that community where you're coming back, sharing news here. So that's really been awesome.
Yeah, and if you should describe to people who maybe haven't still not been at ICNC, what's particular versus other trade shows or events? How would you say what's particular? What's nice about ICNC?
So first of all, I mean, it seems like everyone is prioritizing ICNC like every year. So if you know anything about e-mobility and you're from the Nordics or from Central Europe, this is the place to be. The Germans, they call it the Klassefest, so essentially meaning that it is sort of like a reunion.
Yeah.
So everyone knows everyone, started really small, growing now into something huge. For us, at least, going around speaking with software vendors and hardware partners is really, really good because everyone is here. Maybe some of them have a booth, some of them don't.
Yeah,
they're here anyway.
But they're here anyway, exactly. And I would argue, it's growing. You can see it's growing because I know from our network that I've met people from PowerDot, so coming all the way from Portugal, people coming from Paris, from Electra also. So I know. So it's fantastic. I agree. Klassefest.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So if we, from today's conversation, maybe yesterday, so what topics and trends are people discussing the ICNC this year?
I mean, one of the things that we have actually seen over the last year, also working more and more with software and advising on the software part, is also that the solutions are becoming a bit more fragmented. So we're seeing more niche players, exactly like FlexiCharge, especially as well, going in and taking a niche and going deep in that, where maybe a few years ago we saw platforms were being very wide and saying they can have all of the capabilities. What we're seeing now is that the CPOs are also maturing, knowing more about what they want, and maybe not so afraid anymore to have a core system of CPMS, put on an EMS on top or at the side or whatever, and then integrate it into the existing businesses. This is a trend at least we're seeing in the Nordics, and it seems it's also caught on here at the ICNC. That's at least something that caught our eye, that even the big full end-to-end solutions, they also now beginning to really go for the API first, or let's call it the hybrid version for that matter. And then more and more, as we also talked about before, that we're seeing more these small niche players coming in, offering, say, AI operations, could be data that they're really deep in and utilizing to get better uptime.
Yeah. So it's a topic you're discussing with CPOs when you're doing consulting?
Yes, very often at least.
Yeah.
And I would say within the last 6 months, our business has also gone from regular, say, consultancy into more not just focusing on the IT, but also actually being able to help scope the projects and actually implement it, because we see a big need for the assistance actually on their side with the IT side.
So not just talking, not just but really implementing. Yes. And shifting, and how do you are you also being asked about specific players within a small niche? So and how do you keep yourself updated to spot those players?
It is super difficult to be fully updated because there's so many niche players coming all the time. But of course, being at a trade show like ICNC is something where we, of course, walk around a lot and see. I'll say your podcast, not pushing you too much. But there again, you see sometimes new players.
Exactly. Try to spot new emerging players. Yeah.
Exactly, and then of course just utilizing the network. I mean, having worked with this for so many years, you always see something popping up on LinkedIn. Then there is someone else saying something, and they say, "Oh, you should speak with these guys." Yeah. So utilizing really the network and trying to expand that way. That works pretty well for us.
I met a couple of new ones that you should hear about.
Yeah,
I'll tell you later. Over here. Pour les pauses. Skal vi jo med det sidste projekt her. All right, and if we look the rest of the year, so are there any particular projects that you are really excited about, looking forward to implementing, that you can speak of course, today?
There's a few projects that we have on the horizon that's looking to pan out pretty well. Where we've been in the early stages of the analysis phase, and it's moving now into more the project scoping phase, I would say. I can't say too much about it, but what I can say in both the instances I'm talking about here, it's going to be very big projects, but it's going to be projects as well where they're essentially taking the silo of e-mobility and integrating it into the existing legacy business. So really creating this full-fledged ecosystem with one brand, so that you are truly optimizing the customer journey. That's also something that we have been advising them to do, and now we're seeing them doing it. It also sort of validates our point that they believe in us.
Yeah. And when does that go live? Later this year?
It's longer projects, so we are hoping around December for the first one, and the second one would most likely be Q1, Q2 next year.
All right.
But it's, of course, long projects, enterprise customers, you know how it is.
Exactly, super deep, super wide. All right, and then finishing with one of our dearest topic, I would say e-trucks and MCS and this whole new wave that is coming. So how do you, from your consulting business, having a background more on consulting CPOs on passenger car charging, how do you see that wave coming? Which speed? What's going to happen? What do you see? Is it public truck charging? Is it depot charging? Or what do you see? Tell us a bit, paint the picture.
Yeah. So I'd say first of all there is a knowledge gap from where we are in the passenger vehicles towards the trucks. So it seems like they're 4 or 5 years behind. So many of the dialogues we had back then, 4 or 5 years ago, at least in Denmark, with passenger vehicle CPOs, we were discussing things that are now just second nature. But now we need to have those conversations again, because it's of course new players coming in, some existing players as well, now moving into depot charging and public truck charging. But there are still a lot of things where it's uncharted territory, for them at least. Mm-hmm. And there are some synergies between the regular CPOs, you could say, and the e-truck CPOs, but it's not necessarily the same players. So a lot of information that needs to be gathered in that segment. Yeah. When we're looking at, that the trucks coming in now, it looks like that still the capacity on
the range?
The range of it, yes, exactly. They're still on the shorter side, for at least they're going all the way through Europe. Yeah. So we are seeing a lot of the depot, at least, and they are in the city areas, going around on these fixed routes up to around 400 kilometers. Yeah. And we see a huge need for information on how to set that up there on the depot, what to do. We're looking at finance solutions as well. Yeah. Some of the things we're talking with other partners about as well. Yes. How to offer something. We can offer as charging as a service. Yeah. Because charging might not be their core business. Yep. It's moving stuff kilometers at a time. Yeah. So charging is just something they need to have there as a critical component. Yeah.
And do you think that existing players will manage to capture this, or is all right? And how do you see who's gonna take this market? Do you see the CPOs moving into solution providing, or do you see a lot of space for completely new players that we barely know about today that will be huge in 5 years because they've been going all in on trucks? Can you be really good at servicing passenger cars and trucks?
Almost a leading question, Christophe. But still, I see it the way that there are already now. You can see if you're just looking at in Denmark as an instance, we have 5, 6, maybe 7 different providers of fuel for trucks on diesel. If we're looking at how many are offering depot charging for EV trucks or e-trucks, of course, we are probably talking about 10, 11, 12 already now. So there are new players coming into a market that is sort of, I wouldn't say saturated, that's the wrong word, but there are players established that knows what they do, and this is going to be most likely fragmented, I would argue, in a couple of years, because these new players are coming in, they're not playing by the existing rules, and that could shape up the industry in a slightly different way than it is today.
Absolutely, yeah. Cool. On that note, thanks, Martin. Let's grab a beer soon. It's the end of the day one. And,
absolutely.
See you later.
Absolutely.
Cheers.
Thanks.
Before we continue with the show, let me tell you about an exciting masterclass about the VPP project with Recharge that you should miss. Our own CTO, Robert Brehm, explained how the first ever virtual power plant for public fast charging works, the benefits, the beautiful technology underlying, and how other CPOs can follow. Don't miss the inside story. Register for the masterclass now on our website. All right, moving on with the third conversation today at ICNC. 2025 with Maren Renhelt from Evailable, a company which you heard of before on the podcast. Welcome to the podcast, Maren.
Yeah, thanks so much. Thanks for having me.
So please, as always, start with all my guests. Who are you and what's your background that led you to the position today as a managing director for Evailable?
Yeah, so my journey began actually in engineering. So I did engineering back in the day. So I started to work for Mercedes in a job that was very close to production. So I was supposed to calibrate the robots with which you measure the gaps between the doors to make the new prototype cars perfect. I did that for 2 weeks. And from a technical perspective, it was a super interesting job. But it was like it was not the world that I saw myself in. And back then, that was when Mercedes started doing CASE, so connected, autonomous, shared service, electric, all of these things. I was like, that's new, that's exciting. There were so many unanswered questions. There were so many things you had to figure out. The automotive industry merged with the energy industry, and we still don't know what the best customer solutions are in this environment. It was like, that's the place where I want to work. So I started working at the R&D, for Mercedes charging for a couple of years, did a lot of US business there. Then I moved on to Elli. So Volkswagen subsidiary, I've been doing strategies there, really enjoying like everything that has happened. I've been doing charging now since 2017. Mm-hmm. So much happened in the market. And now since 2 months, I'm super happy to have joined Evailable. I switched because I heard about the job offer and I was like, that's such an amazing opportunity. I could not say no to, and it all worked out. I'm really happy to be here.
Yeah. So actually, have you been to the ICNC before with Elli?
I've been there with Elli. I've also been there with Mercedes. This is actually my 6th ICNC already.
Okay, yeah. So not a first time for sure. And how has the day one been at ICNC?
Super busy. It has been so busy, but that's amazing, right? We have been flooded with people coming to our booth who wanted to know who we are, what we do. And I mean, that's the whole point of being here. I was actually, when I say that we talk through the whole day, I think that's the best resume that I could have, the best summary that I could have for the first day.
All right. And how would you then rate ICNC as an event for those who might not know it? I mean, you've been there 6 times, so yes. And you've seen it evolve. Please explain a bit why people shouldn't miss it. Well,
since I've been here 6 times already, right? I'm a fan, obviously. What I love about the ICNC most is that you meet the same people every day, every year, but you also see how they evolve. Right? You see new companies joining, you see companies that you already know, who come up with new things, new topics, new trends, new partnerships emerging. And I think this is like the topics that are chosen by the ICNC. Also this year's topic with the mass market bridging, that is something that's just so relevant. And I like the conversations that you have here. I think the whole conversation enabling aspect of the ICNC, I think that's unique, that makes this event unique.
Yeah, I heard people describing it. I heard in Germany that people are talking about it like the Klassefest, so the
Klassentreffen.
Klassentreffen,
yeah. Yeah.
So it's
exactly.
Yeah. So what's the atmosphere? So it's like it. Yeah. So we're talking business, but there's really a relaxed atmosphere. Yeah. Very friendly and
exactly.
People laughing and
exactly. The evening events help too,
absolutely.
Right? So
absolutely.
Yeah, it helps you to connect with people you usually only have business conversation with, also like on a personal level, and that's so important to have.
Absolutely, yeah. So, what are some of the main topics? You mentioned a bit the overarching theme of the conference, but a couple of topics and issues that people are discussing at ICNC this year that you would mention.
Yeah, I mean, I'm biased. I feel like I have been talking mostly about AI and how AI can help in this industry, how much potential there is for AI. I mean, e-mobility, that's a software business. There's so much software involved and so much data involved. And that's actually a perfect setup for so many different AI applications. And that was like the main thing. And then that compared with also cost pressure that CPOs are under. There's some consolidation in the market. People have been scaling in the past years. And now we actually have to realize that the cases might not be as we thought they were. And that leads us to a question of few things that we do, and then connect it with the whole, how can we do that? How can AI help to make things better, make things more efficient?
Yeah. Absolutely. And how did your keynote go? Were you nervous before going on stage?
I think if you're not nervous before going on stage, then there might be something wrong with you. So, well, yes, of course I was nervous, but I was also I had so much fun being up there. I'm so proud of what we achieved. 2 weeks ago, we calculated all the numbers that we showed there. Right? We had some customer cases, and I was like, these numbers are so good. I was so looking forward to sharing that in the keynote. And when you love what you do, and when you love what you're going to present, then it was just it was fun.
It was fun. But so maybe before, because I would be curious to hear maybe a couple of those highlights. But maybe again, just to set clear for everybody that Evailable, give us a short pitch again on what you guys do.
So the one pitch line is that AI is a specialized operations AI for charging networks. So what we do is we build an AI operations layer on top of a CPMS. We pull the data from the chargers, and we apply machine learning algorithms, neural networks to that to make sense of the data. For automated analytics, to help people on focusing like what's really important, because we can cancel the noise, highlight what you need to do, and of course also give predictions, right, up to 1 week in advance what's going to happen to your network, and also automizing a lot of working steps, restarts, and all of that.
Yeah. So what were a couple of key figures that you were quite impressed or happy to share yesterday to those who missed it?
One thing is that across all the customers that we have, we increased for every single customer on average the successful charging rate to over 90%. Across our complete customer base, we saved with this automated healing function. So restarts that we trigger based on what the algorithm says. We saved all of our customers until August, so until last week, more than 2.5 million euros, which is crazy, which is, by the way, way more than what they spend for us. So it's so great to see how much money we could have them save. And so we had, we showed an example of a CPO customer of ours. We reduced their stations in failure by 20% from February till August this year. So these are some figures that those are the ones that I was really looking forward to presenting, because considering what we're doing, how new we are to that business, it's just something to be really, really proud of.
I understand. So if we look at it until the end of the year, what are there any particular projects or future release that you can talk about, or evolution that's really particularly excites you looking forward?
Yeah, so we have a lot in the making because there's just so much potential. The question is which route do you go first? We'll obviously work on is improving further scaling our algorithm, including further data streams. So currently we pull OSPP data, SIM card data. We integrate ticketing systems. We also can work with sensor data from hardware. But there is so much more interesting data sources that you could integrate, for example, payment terminal information, et cetera, et cetera. So there are cool things coming ahead. We're also working on some really nice features. One thing that we'll shortly be also talking about is basically a benchmarking feature where you can also have a better look at how do specific station types perform in the market. And then also for the next year, there will be also more, we're working on something that basically works like an agent, right? So not only showing data, but maybe also someone that you can have a conversation with to even take away more from your manual working steps. So not only looking at information, but also basically giving you the very, very specific steps on what to do, if we can even, do them for you.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. Looking forward to seeing that. So congratulations with the recent announcement, the collaboration with Monta. I must say personally, I was quite impressed and interested to see that even Monta, which is a very ambitious, I would say full-fledged CPMS, opens up to collaborate with a specialized service like yours. I guess acknowledging that on that area they can't do it themselves, or at least not as good as you guys. So collaborate with you. And that's a really exciting topic personally, to see the evolution of the tech stack and how maybe CPOs, how should they build a tech stack in the future, right? And maybe going from how do you see it, right? So it used to be a CPMS that does everything, and now you see, specialized services popping up and being integrated. We see also unpack being quite ambitious and making this suite of this marketplace, they call it, right? So how do you see this evolution?
And so what we see is, yes, they're all evolving, right? So they're all thinking about what's the next cool feature that we can add. And that is perfect, right? That's what everyone should do. But we also believe in a toolkit world, right? So we're always saying it's an ecosystem. We, for example, we say we are not a CPMS. We're not planning on becoming one. We are doing this one thing that we can add on top of solutions that you already have, be it a CPMS, a broker, whatever. For us, the approach is be flexible and be adaptable, because there is not that one-fits-all solution. And that's an approach that works really well for us. And coming back to your Monta point, we're also really happy to collaborate with Monta. I think they have a great development team, and they're really savvy when it comes to also AI topics, right? Caspar mentioned that also in his keynote. In the end, it's a business decision for them. Would you, as a CPMS, staff 15 of your developers on predictive maintenance, on the AI development for that topic? Or would you rather take these resources and put them on something that's more, that helps you distinguish you more from a customer perspective? Because in our case, automated operations, customers won't care about that. They don't care how you solve the tickets, right? So that's nothing that really helps you set you apart from other CPMS solutions. So, again, I'm biased, but obviously it's a smart business decision to say, well, that is something we would rather buy instead of make. I also assume that there will be competition in the future from a company saying, oh, well, that's something that we're planning on doing by ourselves. And they have all the data for that. That is absolutely correct. But our USP is that's the one thing we do. That is like the whole company, everyone who works in that company, that is the one thing we do, right? And obviously that makes us faster in what we do. We can specialize better. So think about, would you rather take away people from your core business and let them do that? Or buy that solution from someone else?
Yeah. Yeah. Couldn't agree more. And maybe just to finish on another key topic on depot charging or truck charging, right? How do you guys at Evailable look into this space, which is emerging and is looking, of course, to be even bigger than hubs in public charging for cars?
Yeah, that's I think a quick answer. For us, super relevant. For truck, a good uptime, predictions, and reliability of the charging infrastructure is even more important than for passenger cars, right? If a charging station says it's online, a truck goes there and it's not working, well, go tell the truck driver, please just try another one, right? So the pain is even bigger. So that's a super relevant market for us.
Yeah, exciting topic. Well, we'll probably follow that in the future. Thank you very much on that note, Maren, and wishing you a great day number 2.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
And that wraps up this special episode of the ChargePoint podcast, recorded live from ICNC 2025 in Berlin. After speaking with Lasse, Martin, and Maren, one thing is clear. The industry is shifting from scale to precision. It's no longer just about deploying chargers, it's about delivering consistent, customer-focused performance. Lasse, CEO at Fleetgrid, emphasized that fleet electrification, especially in the heavy-duty space, needs more than just hardware. It needs tailored financing, infrastructure planning, and hands-on support. He described charging as a service as the bridge between what logistics operators need and what infrastructure can offer. And he noted that this year at ICNC, the momentum around fleet solutions was real and accelerating. Then Martin from Elevathors gave us a look under the software hood. His take? Well, CPOs are maturing fast, ditching closed platforms and choosing modular, APIs-first stacks that reflect their unique operational needs. For Martin, fragmentation isn't dysfunction, it's a sign of progress. And ICNC, he said, remains one of the only spaces where technical decision makers actually come together and exchange ideas without filters over a good cup of coffee. Finally, Maren, managing director at Evailable, made a powerful point. Charging success rates are the customer experience. Evailable's AI-powered platform automates alerts, restarts, and diagnostics, helping CPOs turn noise into action. She highlighted how smart operation reduce OPEX, lower support loads, and crucially ensure that the driver has a seamless experience. So what unites all three? Well, a shared belief that uptime, automation, and adaptability are the real battlegrounds for mass adoption, and that ICNC remains a key touch point, not just for announcement, but for real problem solving across the ecosystem. Where they diverge was maybe in the how. Lasse starts with the customer journey, Martin starts with clean architecture, and you could say that Maren starts with operational excellence. 3 roles, 3 perspectives, 1 direction forward. Thanks again to Lasse, Martin, and Maren for their time, and thank you for tuning in. Until next time, keep charging forward.